of Nevada, the great silver state and the gold. New tales of Nevada, the stories, people working hard to make a home. Old tales of Nevada.
Hello everybody, welcome to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. It's August. It's going to be August, and that means it's time for Hot August Nights. People wonder how it all started. We'll have the whole story for you right after this.
You hear it all the time. Buy local, eat local, choose local, grow local, think local. But who the heck really is local? You can shop with locals here in the Nevada Marketplace, in the Reno Town Mall, home of the Buy Nevada First gift shop. We have all things made in Nevada and more. You can spot locally owned businesses where you see this window poster. We're giving them away for free. You can search for locals with our local business directory and free phone app at buynevadafirst.com. Because the business is either Nevada-based, locally owned, or it's not.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go, all at Boutique Elegante. Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go, all at Boutique Elegante.
Welcome everybody to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show, and as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to be talking about Hot August Nights, which is coming up in the first part of August, as it does every year. And today we have the executive director, Mike Hahn, with us today, and one of our emeritus directors, Dave Hansen, who's never been on the show before. But
my first time.
Yeah, we want to welcome you both.
Thank you.
Back to the show, Mike, for you. And we always enjoy having our big events on our show, because to me it's history in the making. You know, it's just like the camel races that are celebrating their 50th year this year up in Virginia City. So it's been a great thing that we have here in Reno, having these beautiful events that people come from all over the world to see and to take part in. And Hot August Nights is certainly one of the bigger ones that we have here in town. So great to have you on the show. And as I always say when we do our show, and usually Roy is here, he's not here today, he has some special business to take care of, but he's always telling us why we do the show. It was his idea to have the show, and he is from Texas, and he feels that people in Texas have a great pride in living in Texas because of the rich history that took place there in Texas. So he comes to Nevada about the same time as you, Dave, back in the 70s, and he saw that people really didn't understand the history of Nevada. So he had this passion all these years to have a show which explored the history and the events and people and places and things. So he asked us to put it together for him. So here we are, 306 episodes down the road, about 10 years worth of shows, and we've been able to bring a lot of that history to the folks here in northern Nevada. And we feel that it has a good impact, because if people feel good about where they live, they take better care of their people, their properties. So it's a net good thing. So we're on and going forward, hopefully for many more shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why we're here. But as we have our guest on, we'd like to talk about you too, you know, not just the event. So we'll start with you, Dave, because you're new to the show and new to our viewers, and you have a great history that we like to talk about as well. So why don't you give us a little bio about where you started as a youngster and how you made your way out to Nevada and why you stayed in Nevada?
Well, it's a funny story, a great story, but you know, going back, I was born in a little mining town in Pennsylvania called Q Creek.
Okay.
And years ago, when they had the 9 miners that were bought, that was my hometown. My wife and I are hometown sweethearts, but that was the mine that my dad worked in and my grandfather worked in.
Really? Wow.
In the Q Creek mine. So technically, I am from Q Creek, Pennsylvania, which is
what kind of mining? Just at a
coal mining.
Coal mining. Okay.
Yeah, bituminous coal. So anyhow, and it was big back there, and now it's gone again. So. Bev and I both went to Slippery Rock State College, and we had a
Slippery
ball
Rock.
with that out here because no one ever heard of Slippery Rock.
Now, where's Slippery Rock?
A lot of people think it's in Arkansas, but it's in western Pennsylvania.
Oh, it is? Okay.
And it's part of the state college system. So it's a college town, probably about 5,000 students. I went there and then I worked there for 5 years. That's how I got in higher ed. And then I was applying for jobs to move on because I needed to branch out a little bit more. Plus, I needed to find a way to get my doctorate so that I could move through the administration ranks. So
Okay.
anyhow, Nevada came up, and I'd never been in Nevada before. Interviewed here. That was my introduction to Nevada. Bev didn't get to come, so went back, and a couple days later, and I interviewed with, at that time, the president interviewed every administrator that they were considering to hire.
Everyone.
And
Wow.
Crowley, Joe Crowley was acting president at that time. And he wasn't here, so I got to be interviewed by Ed Pine, who was the VP for administration. So that was a nice experience to meet Mr. Pine. And bottom line, we got the call, and in a couple weeks we sold our house in Pennsylvania, packed up the Ryder truck, and away we went for the West.
Cross country.
Yeah, and it was a big gamble. It was fun,
Yeah.
scary,
Yeah.
and it worked out really well for us. So I get here, and I'm assistant dean of students, and my reason for coming was to work with students, redesign an orientation program, and go back to school and finish my advanced degree. I could do all that here. So
Sure.
after I got here, people said, if you're going to work with students and you're going to do the orientation programs, you need to get out and see Nevada. So that's a good idea. So they said the recruiting then at that point was out of admissions, and admissions didn't have a car, so they used the military science vehicle.
Okay.
So military science went with the recruiter, who is Cecilia St. John, who worked at the university for a long time. And anyhow, that's how they went recruiting. That was their transportation. They said, why don't you come along? So I show up in a three-piece suit and for my first recruiting trip. And they said, well, first place we're stopping is Austin, Nevada. I go, well, that's great. And they said, and you're going to meet with 100% of the senior class. I said, that's amazing. And I said, this is going to be great. And then we're going to go on to, and we're going to go to Wells and go to some of the other schools and so forth. I said, okay. So as we get into Austin, Nevada, and I said, well, where's the school? And they said, it's up on that hill. And so we went up to the school, and I'm going, oh my gosh. And we went up to the attic where the counselor's office was.
Okay.
And we met with all 6 of the senior class that day.
You got the 100% of the
That's
class.
right.
All right.
So at that point, then that was my first introduction to rural Nevada.
Yeah.
So the second school we went to, the tide came off, got much more casual, and fell in love with Nevada, and we've been here ever since.
Yeah, what was it about Nevada? Besides the wide open spaces, you might say, what else?
The people, the accessibility to the outdoors, the climate, the opportunity here.
Yeah.
We enjoy the outdoors.
Wonderful.
And with the events here, and back in '78, things were starting to pick up, and you look
Sure.
at the litany of events we have now, including, Hot August Nights.
Nights,
But
yeah.
with all that here is we could enjoy all of that at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And the accessibility to the cities and so forth. And our kids went to school here. They loved it, had great success. They all live in Nevada. 2 of them are here in Reno, and one's out in Elko.
We get that same story from so many of our guests. They come to Nevada and they just say, this is where I'm going to live. And they make it a goal to get here, and they do, and they're successful, and they have great careers, and then they give back. They give back. And you're doing that by being part of Hot August Nights, correct?
It was something I really enjoy.
Yeah, and you are an emeritus
director. I served on Bev and I got involved with Hot August Nights in 1990 when we got our 39 Ford pickup to be part of it.
All right.
But then we served on committees and got involved that way. And then in 1999, I was on the board of directors and
Wonderful.
served 5 terms and finished up in 2014 and was recognized for my service and was granted emeritus status with
I
honor.
think that's really great that you do that, because Jim Webster's also
Right.
an emeritus director who works with us on the show every week and coordinates it, and he was there from the very beginning. But before we get into all that,
Okay.
we're glad you're here, though.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here and you're doing well and enjoying Nevada. Mike Hahn has been on the show a number of times with us, much about the Hot August Nights, and we had you on the very first time you became executive director of Hot August Nights. So you were kind of shy and
Yeah, that was 2015. So just after you had left, I had as a board member is when I got hired.
Yeah,
May of
yeah.
2015.
Right. You were a policeman in town, right?
Correct.
Are you a native of
No,
Nevada?
I moved up here with my family in the late 70s. Ended up going up to Truckee to go to high school, graduated from Truckee High School, relocated down here in Reno, went to UNR,
Okay.
and started my career here in Reno.
Then you got involved with Hot August Nights along the way as a volunteer or something, or what?
Well, no, all my career through law enforcement, I worked Hot August Nights since 1989 in different ranks. When I retired in 2012, I was a deputy chief of police. So at every rank, I worked the events, not only Hot August Nights, but all events. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I had a lot of passion. I had a lot of experience with events itself.
Yeah.
And the Reno market. So
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that must have been a big change for you because, you spent all your time getting educated in law enforcement to the point where you're assistant chief, and then you make this big jump over to special events. Did you feel like you was it worthwhile getting all that law enforcement education? Does it help you in the job today?
You know what? Nothing against education, but it's not the education that really got me to where I am today. I think it's your people skills and how you work with people. We have so many volunteers, and you got to treat people right. And I did that on the street. I did that in the office, and I still think I do that today with our volunteers. And that's what I think is the key.
Yeah.
Mike does. He practices the golden rule.
That's super. That's great. So you've been doing it now for what? 4 years?
This is my fifth summer.
Fifth summer. Wow.
Fifth summer. The first year I worked with Tony for a couple months, and then so this is the fourth one that I've planned 100% on my own with our staff and our volunteers.
Wow. Yeah. And how many staff are you supervising actually?
We only have a staff of 4 full-time.
4 full-time, and you
One
put on an
part-time.
event like that.
Yeah.
That's
Hard
to
amazing.
believe,
Yeah.
Talk about getting a lot out of your people. That's
Well,
pretty
it's funny
amazing.
because when I first took the job, they asked me, well, what are you going to do the rest of the year?
Yeah.
They think that we start planning this event in the spring, maybe around April or May, and we put on this huge event that brings in, $100 million to town. So that's not quite the case.
No,
it's a full-time job.
Yeah, so how are we doing on time here? We have an intern with us today from the University of Nevada. What do we have?
A minute and a half.
We have a minute and a half. Okay, good. I couldn't see you real well back there. So anyway, big plans for this year, right? I mean, it's bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, this year we made notice that years ago we used to have a cap. We used to have 6,000, and we released the cap, trying to get some more participants. I think our city is capped at 6,000 cars. I don't really think we could handle much more than that for simplicity and ease of our operational needs, and for planning purposes, we're going to do the 6,000 again starting 2020. So when you talk about ordering 6,000 hats, 6,000 mugs, 12,000 shirts, you need to know that.
I'd like to be your souvenir
before May. Yeah. So I think this really helps us moving forward.
Yeah, and then we also have Virginia City, which is really turning into a venue.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad you did that. Instead of going to San Diego, we'll talk about that too, that little episode. But that's turning out to be a great
Fifth year. This is our 5th year in Virginia City. Absolutely the most popular event and most popular place that I've seen over the last 4 years that I've been involved, is how people like to go up there, and it's sold out. It sold out months ago.
Yeah. So when we come back from our break, I want to get into the history of Hot August Nights, because we have a lot of new people that are living in Reno, and they don't know how these events start. And it was small beginnings, but just turned out to be what it is today. It's fabulous. So we want you to stay tuned. We'll be back with Mike and Dave and me for more Old Tales of Nevada right after these messages.
Everything is handpicked here at Precision Diamonds. All jewelry is handpicked here at Precision Diamonds.
Come to Precision Diamonds. I'll fix your jewelry just like new.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the livestock events in around Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
It's back to school days at Carpenter's Music World. They are proud to support the Love of Music programs in Reno with Carpenter's Music Rental Program. Instruments can be rented starting as low as $25 a month, or rent-to-own programs are available. Instruments come with all accessories. Carpenter's Music World wants to spread the love of music to as many as possible. Questions? Visit or contact Carpenter's Music World today, 1090 Kitski Lane in Reno. Let's spread the love.
Well, finally, a new place to stay and play in the 67-room modern Victorian-style Silverland Inn and Suites in Virginia City. The Silverland gives you a chance to experience the rich history and beauty of Virginia City by day and night by offering a stay Sunday through Thursday in a standard room for just $79. Silverland Inn and Suites has it all. Heated pool, hot tub, great views. Book now by calling 847-4484. It's history at its best at the Silverland Inn and Suites in Virginia City.
We're back here in Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. We're talking with Dave Hansen and Mike Juan, not Han. Han is Hot August Nights.
We'll get it confused all the time.
Yeah, I know. Well, we wanted to straighten that out right away. But we glad to have you on the show, as I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And, you know, being that there are so many new people here in town, I've had you on the show before, so I know the history. But a lot of people moving in because of Tesla and all this stuff that's going on out there in TRI, and they don't know how an event like this gets started. And this event started a long time ago now. It's 1986. Am I right on that?
Yeah. It's our 33rd anniversary.
33rd yeah. So tell me, how did this whole thing? Who got involved? Why did it become an event?
Let me do this. Let me let Dave kind of touch briefly on some of that stuff from '86, and then I'll kind of move.
Yeah, one of the nice parts about the role that I have, because I volunteered to kind of coordinate the emeritus directors for Hot August Nights, because there have been people over the course of the years that have been granted that status, but there's never been any coordination with them and any consolidated effort to kind of bring them into the fold to today's Hot August Nights, whether they want to participate or attend events and so forth. So when I got done on the board, I thought, this would be something that I can do for the organization. So I have learned so much about Hot August Nights from '86 on through talking with people like Jim Webster and Harry Parsons and Dennis Bryan and Chris Killian and all that, where it's really been pretty amazing. And it's amazing that we're in our 33rd year. Yeah. They thought it might be a big party for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And in '86, through efforts with Jim Webster and a couple of the people here in town, a Easter Seals event and a softball tournament in the regional area, coupled with a car show, turned out to be kind of the foundation for the 1986 event. And people pulled together and through the years, and then the second year, all of a sudden...
Where was it held the first year?
Well, it was held, here in Reno, and I think it was it was a Hilton then, I think?
I don't know if it's the Hilton or the Convention Center. I believe it's Convention Center. A lot smaller convention center in those days.
And then the second year we had the big beach party, at the Hilton it was. But, people pulled together, people volunteered, they didn't have any formal organization. They didn't have initially. They didn't have a treasurer. It was just a group of them that felt that it was a great idea, and they were going to celebrate cars and the music. Yeah. And from that, then over the course of the years, it became more formalized. The board became more formalized with membership and so forth. But some of the stories never got told and sort of got lost in some of the traditions. So that's part of the movement, an initiative with this emeritus director group that we have now, and we have over 20 active members that have been designated that status, which is 5 years on the board and distinguished service and a board approval. And it's amazing how quickly the event developed from the first year, even to the second year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In terms of
Because I
number
was
of
at
cars.
that one at the Hilton, which is now GSR.
Right, right.
And Chuck Berry was one of the headliners
Exactly.
there, you know. And there were some stories about that show.
Yeah.
And about him and his need. He wanted to sell Bibles or something. I don't know what
no,
it
that was Little Richard, I think.
Oh, Little
that
Richard
went
was
down
it.
the
Okay.
road. But, you know, some of the entertainers would not perform until they had cash in advance. And,
Yeah.
and, you know, it was an amazing challenge for the folks that it evolved into a formalized event that is bigger than better than anyone ever realized.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and from the law enforcement perspective, when this first came on, you know, the biggest concern was you want to go ahead and close down streets and you want to do a sanctioned cruise. You're always thinking about what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And the cruising and part of it downtown Reno was back in when I first started doing it in '89. Basically, was just, I mean, there was no barricades, no bicycle rack, people just hanging out.
Yeah.
Cars were just
Sure.
cruising up and down the street.
I remember that.
To today, where it's very organized and sanctioned and thought when you talk about crowd control and you talk about protecting our crowds with outside barriers, you know, so people don't get hurt. So and that's involved into Sparks. Now Sparks doing a cruise. Every casino parking lot in town, you know, the big casinos have show and shines in their parking lot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it started out of this little event that turned into an event that we have learned is almost 300,000 people in town having a party.
That's amazing.
So that's our role for staff, is let's put on a party for about 300,000 people. And at the end of the day, let's hope we have a couple dollars left so we can, you know, keep our building in shape.
Yeah.
So.
Now, that's a good question. Now, as you bring all of these people into town, evidently there is revenues that are derived from the event that you use for the next event and so on and so forth. But you're a nonprofit, aren't you? And then what do you do with as a nonprofit? Do you donate to different charities in town?
We do. So we're a 501c4.
Oh, okay.
501c4, correct. Not for profit for
Okay.
the Hot August Nights. I wish there was those extra funds we could do a lot of donating for. We keep it pretty strict. We do a pretty thorough budget at the beginning of the year, and we kind of have an estimate of how many people we're going to get, how much merchandise we're going to sell, what our gate revenue is, and where we're at. Where we get, last few years we've been increasing the entertainment cost.
Oh, I see.
So we bring in some higher entertainers.
Sure,
So,
that's a good thing.
But we do have our Hot August Nights Foundation.
Yeah.
So the Hot August Nights Foundation was generated in 2007, and that was another means of, if we have really good years, but remember 2007, 2008, 9, 10 wasn't such good
Right,
times.
because
Those were tough
downtime for
So we didn't have a
economy.
lot to
They were
do
tough.
from the Hot August Nights Inc. to the foundation. So a lot of that money that we've made in the foundation is separate from the car show. We've done auction cars, we've done raffle cars. And the exciting part is all that money goes back to kids in need and at risk in our community.
Wonderful.
This year we just hit the $1 million mark that we've given away back to kids in our community.
Okay,
So
and
it's-
what sort of activities do you give your money to? I mean, kids in need, but in what way?
So one of our biggest organizations that receives money from us is the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows.
Yeah.
When they built their new buildings, the last one was on Foster, and then they remodeled the one over there off of.
Over in Sparks there somewhere?
No, it's in Reno off
they have two
area.
locations.
They have
Okay.
locations everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Each time we donated $100,000 to that.
Oh, super.
So we have some help with that. Scholarships is probably our biggest things. Every year Boys and Girls Club have 2 kids that we give full scholarships to. 4-year scholarships.
Wonderful, yeah.
And then now we started giving scholarships to every school in Washoe County and Virginia City. Since we're partnered with Virginia City, those students get $1,000 each.
Great.
To be able to help with their education.
Great, yeah. So that's the one thing about these special events. They all give back in one way or another, economic impact, you know, so the commercial side gets their share, and then, you know, the kids benefit. So it's a wonderful thing. So what year do you think where, you know, the first year, second year, third year, where did it really blossom, you know, where the casinos really saw that this is something that we can really be part of and make it really something big and huge? Was there a particular year?
Just going back to history a little bit from what I've learned from the elders, the first year was a success. The second year was a wonderful party in which they overspent their budget. And it took 3 to 4 years for Hot August Nights to pay back because the convention center and the properties stood by Han and said, okay, you know, the event will go on. And over, like, I think it was 3 to 4 years, all the debts were paid, in which then Hot August Nights became a solvent organization, and they had paid their debts in good faith and so forth. So based on the history that I've heard, I think that probably in that point then that the properties knew that, at least in my opinion, that there was some real value in this event. But even in those early stages, I don't think anyone ever realized the significant economic impact that Hot August Nights would have on the greater Reno Sparks, now Virginia City area.
Because this is pretty much worldwide now, isn't it? I mean, the reputation of Hot August Nights goes far and wide.
It's been named as a bucket list from Street Router Magazine as far as a place you got to go to. It's I go to car shows around country, or I'm just traveling and I talk about Hot August Nights, or I have my shirt on, and people always mention it. That's just a place I just want to go and go check it out.
Where's the furthest participant come in from? Do people actually ship their cars, say, from Jersey all the way out here?
Jersey, try a different country.
Another country, really?
New Zealand.
New Zealand is one that came to mind,
Recently we had a couple other, every year we have them from different countries, and we always do stories on them.
That's amazing, you know?
Yeah, they're from all over the place.
Yeah. Well, New Zealand, we get a lot of visitors. Jim and I have taken over the management services for the Silverland Inn and Suites, so if you want a place to stay up there during Hot August Nights, that's the place to go. But we get a lot of people from over in New Zealand, you know, that have a great interest in the West, especially Virginia City and mining, like you're from, and they just love to be out here. So now you got not only the West, but you got the car show to go with it. And what kind of cars do they bring over? Are they pretty special? To ship them that far, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you know, when I talk to these people, the cost to ship a car over isn't as expensive as for them to take their flights.
No kidding.
As long as you're in no hurry and you just plan in advance,
and
have a place to store it when it gets here.
Then I know when I ship my golf clubs, it's pretty darn expensive, you know. Unless you do it like with a wagon train or something and plan a month ahead or something. But so that's great. Yeah. So biggest percentage, I suppose, of participants are what, Northern California?
I would say our adjoining states.
Yeah.
So that's probably
Oregon.
The California get the biggest draw, but an unbelievable spot is Texas. We get a lot of cars from Texas.
No kidding, wow. How many? I was up in Montana recently, okay? And I'm driving through some of the valleys up there. And I got back into some of these small villages, for lack of a better word, and it seemed like every single yard I went by had an old truck or a Model T or, you know, a 59 Plymouth, who the heck knows. But they were all over the place up there, and I'm saying to myself, if somebody wants to do something for Hot August Nights, this is where they can start. And they probably get a real buy-in.
Actually, we have a pretty good contingent in the greater Portland area.
Do you?
There's a big auction and swap meet up there every year, but you know, we've had quite a few come down from Portland, and even some of them caravan down with their cars, and that's a pretty good haul for coming from the Portland, Seattle area down
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and they don't drive them down. They usually haul them in trailers.
There's a lot they do drivers.
Yeah.
So last year when I was in Virginia City, I saw a couple with Florida plates on their car, and they actually drove them all the way across the country.
Yeah.
And these are cars that, you know, they're drivers.
Yeah. They're classics. Now, did they bring them out here to sell necessarily, or just to show? I mean, you have an auction, right? That at least you used to have an auction. I don't know if you still do.
Yeah, we do have an auction.
Okay.
Motorsport auction. It's our sponsors, or we sponsor their auction. They go Thursday, Friday, Saturday of our event, and they get about 600 cars through their auction.
They do. Yeah. Okay. So people they bring them into the auction themselves, or the auction has an inventory of cars that they travel around with until they're sold.
No, they have consigners that put their car through, and
in
the idea to get some pretty good money with our good participants.
Yeah. And how do you decide where you show your car? Because I go to the Pepper Mill and there's a bunch of cars over there. I go to GSR and there's a bunch of cars over there. Do you assign them to where to go?
Yeah. I don't know. You guys.
We're over.
I'm over? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break.
For over 30 years, the Book Gallery has been serving its customers with a wide selection of books, comics, and DVDs. They specialize in Western Americana, sci-fi, romance, and general fiction. Be sure to ask about their trade policy. 30 years and going strong, The Book Gallery, 1203 North Rock Boulevard in Sparks.
A proud sponsor of Old Tales of Nevada, past and present.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go, all at Boutique Elegante. Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go, all at Boutique Elegante.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Hello, California. Somewhere in time in Reno is a huge store filled with trains and models, collectibles, art, antiques, and more, with pricing lower than anything you'll see in California. Come see it to believe it at Somewhere in Time in Reno.
Deluxe Travel, locally owned and operating since 1991, is the home for travel to Mexico and Central and South America. The crew at Deluxe Travel is bilingual, trustworthy, thorough, and caring. They will do everything possible to make your dream vacation the best it can be. Now is the time to book for winter travel, so stop by the office at 100 California Avenue or call 686-7000. You can also check us out on our website at deluxetravelLTD.com.
At Deluxe Travel, we sell dreams. Come in and plan yours.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. As we come into our third segment, I always like to reintroduce the panel here. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show. And with us today, our special guest, Dave Hansen, who's Emeritus Director with Hot August Nights. Been with them, almost from the beginning.
Yeah, 1990 on.
Yeah. 1990 on, all right, very good. And our Executive Director, the man in the, that's not a pink shirt.
Oh, it's pink.
Oh, it's pink, okay.
It's about as pink as...
Okay. Pink shirt. Our Mike Wan. I want to make sure I get that pronounced right, not Han.
That's
Hot August Nights, okay. So we left our last segment, we were talking about the auction, because that's always been a big deal. It used to be a different company that handled the auction. It was that one that's on TV all the time. But you changed because of who knows what reason. But how did that work out? Wasn't last year the first year for that change?
No, this is their fourth year.
Fourth year.
Yeah,
Time
so
flies when you're having fun.
They've done really well. They're a new company. They're based here in Sparks. They started with just three guys that were passionate about selling cars and buying cars, to now where they just merged with one of the big companies in the country. With Silver Auctions out of Arizona.
I'm familiar with that name.
So not Silver Auctions that does our auction years ago, or the one up in Spokane area.
Okay.
So the Silver Auction in Arizona, they do 3 auctions a year. Now they're going to actually change their name to MAG, Motorsport Auction Group.
Okay.
Because MAG has got such a great reputation in our community from our event.
Okay.
That they felt it would be better reputation to stick with that, because the namesake, and then instead of the Silver Auction in Arizona. So each year they bring over 600 cars. They do a wonderful event. They put on a great show. They have some memorabilia they'll do. They actually do stuff for our foundation. So they give us a car, and they auction that off, and that goes towards our foundation.
Wonderful.
And then we get cars from other very generous donors. And then, this last year we even got a child from Make-A-Wish Foundation up in the Oregon area that wants to come down here, just because it's on their bucket list to come down and check out Hot August Nights and the auction and everything else. So
Take them to the shows and just give them a
put them in the
VIP.
Put them in the parade, stuff like that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, nice. So that happens throughout the show, right? How many days is the show? The Hot August Night show. I know you start out in Virginia City.
So I call it a 10-day event, because we start on that Friday at Virginia City, and we go all the way through the following Sunday, where we have our grand finale parade. there's things to do every day.
Yeah.
We have all of our registered participants for Reno typically come into town the weekend before, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Casinos love it. They absolutely love it. They,
yeah, I would imagine.
They have really nice room rates that help pay their bills, so they could make sure that we could continue this event for many years.
Now that was kind of a challenge back in maybe earlier days of the show, because some of the hotels were really getting crazy with their rates, weren't they? And didn't that suppress the attendance a little bit?
You know what? It does, and it will continue. But the room rates in Reno typically are a lot lower than people see during our event. But if you compare us to other like events in California or other states, it's economics. You know, that people come and they raise their rates.
Yeah, but there was a time too, because of the economy around 07 and 08. You know, when the economy tanked a little bit too, we could see a difference in our attendance.
Sure.
And the occupancy rates and everything here, and that just had a lot to do with the economics. In addition to the factor that our clientele is getting older.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get more of the young blood and the young enthusiasts involved, which is, I think, one of our challenges. But through all that, with Mike and the group here, they have maintained consistency with our registrations, and I think properties are pretty happy with their occupancy rates right now too.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad, because everybody learns as they go along too. You know, there's only so much a person will take as far as rates are concerned, or memberships with Han, the entry fees. I mean, you have to be careful with all of that kind of thing.
One thing too, I want to touch on with that we don't miss that. It's amazing for how costs have risen to operate the event, in addition to just general inflation costs, that we've been able to keep the rates extremely reasonable and really consistent over the last couple of years. I mean, it's a very cost-effective event when you look at the registrations for what's available to the people.
Super. What is it, about like $400 or something to put a car in there?
No, it's if you do it right after the event's over in September, it's $150.
Really?
Yeah.
And then it goes to $170, and if you wait till the event, it's $220.
That is definitely reasonable.
But, I don't think people understand, and they still think that the cities of Reno and Sparks don't charge us, and that's not the case.
No, you have to pay for all that security.
So we pay for all their security, all their road department to close down the roads for all the cruises, and those costs are about $300,000.
Wow.
So the other thing is our car registrations only cover about a third of our cost. So the cars are a big deal, and it's the show, I get it, but we still have to raise monies to make the show.
Therefore you have your
keep the show
paid
going.
events, like your entertainment events.
They're all free. There is no paid event.
Oh, there is no paid.
So that's the challenge for us, to keep going the way we're doing it, having a free event, and still paying these fees from different, not in the cities, but equipment, from bathrooms to. There's not plugs all over parking lots to be able to plug into. You have to rent generators and power.
Right.
Insurance.
Sure. So how do you overcome that overhead if you don't have paid events?
So a lot of it's sponsorships.
Oh, sponsorships.
Sponsorships are a big key to it.
Major piece of it.
So we need about $700,000 a year in sponsorships to be able to stay in the black.
Okay.
So that's always going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
But we also have merchandise that we could get some from merchandise. We have our drag races, which is in Sparks at the Nugget parking lot on
Very popular.
Oh, that's
nights.
got to be
that's
fun.
Extremely popular.
Yeah.
But it's funny that our net, after all said and done, is very small. If I was a for-profit business, we wouldn't do that, because you don't make money, because there's so much cost at the bleachers and the tower and the equipment to run a drag race and the safety aspects of it.
But it's just part of it. You have to have it.
And the money part of it. And the money part of it is, it's critical, obviously. But there's also this delineation that we have made. I hope we've made it clear that there's the foundation, where those funds there are for our dedicated commitments to our foundation, and there's the operating money for the event.
Right.
So when they say about we get the cars, that's for foundation for fundraising. We have donors that give us cards for we've been able to keep that money, but it puts a lot of strain on the event staff to be able to make the dollars balance on the operation side.
Well, I think the biggest thing is the message. We give out this money. I just talked about the $1 million we gave to the kids.
Yeah.
And everyone says, you give out so much money, how do I guess Nights is loaded? It's two different companies.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not even, they don't blend. So
They don't blend.
It really doesn't it's a little bit hard for me to go out and get sponsorships when they go, you guys make so much money, you don't need sponsorships, remember? All that money you give the kids.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah,
different.
it's just like with the rodeo, they have their foundation and they do their thing, but the rodeo has to do their thing. So most nonprofits that do events, that's the way it's handled. So that's a good thing. Who are some of the headliners coming in? Now that you mentioned it's free, I want to know who I can go see.
So let me just talk about the lineup for the Grand Sierra, and that's our corporate village. We have all of our big sponsors there, and the last couple of years, Friday and Saturday night, we'll get 25 to 30,000 people in the
No
parking
kidding.
lot.
Yeah. Wow.
So we've had some pretty big names. This year for Tuesday night, we got it's a tribute band to Bob Seger. Couldn't afford Bob Seger. He's about $700,000. So the tribute band's a lot cheaper.
Wow.
Wednesday night we got Pablo Cruz. Thursday night Little River Band. Friday night the Temptations, and then Saturday night we have Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Oh, no kidding.
So there's a lot of opportunity for people to come see those. In fact, if we have our sponsor tent, which everyone loves to be in, but not everyone can be a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So last year we created another environment called the Garage, and basically put another tent pretty much right in front of the stage. And if people want to pay to go in there and have a preferred seat and get some cocktails and snacks, that's another avenue for them to go see these free concerts, although that's preferred seating is what they're paying for.
Yeah, now up in Virginia City, are you going to have any entertainment up there?
Oh yeah, we have.
Oh, you do?
We have entertainment.
Are you
both
using
days.
pipers, or is it an outdoor thing?
No, it's outdoor. It's on
Outdoor.
the parking lot, the Delta lot.
Oh, the Delta
We'll
lot,
put a
yeah.
stage up there.
Okay.
And that's, again, you can't just have a concert and have a band come up without stage, lights, and sound. Generators to run the stage,
For
lights,
sure,
and sound.
for sure.
So we have a couple of them. The favorite up there, typically on Saturdays, is a local band called Lady and the Tramp.
Oh,
So a
Lady
lot
and
of
the
people
Tramp,
like
yeah. In
going
fact,
up
they
there.
just played there last weekend, and a bunch of people from Sacramento were even in to see those folks. So
Yeah.
that must be pretty good.
Yeah, they have a big following.
Now, you can use the Silverland Inn and Suites parking lot next year and put a lot more people in there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but when you have a big event up there in Virginia City, the biggest challenge we have is parking the regular folks, that want to come up for it.
Well, that's why we limit it to 400 cars, because if the cars have to pay their fees to go up there, and they have to park down below or up above where everyone else is, let's say you get there at 9 or 10, you're late, they want to be a part of the group. So we limit it to 400. I think it's the right number right now for to make sure everybody up there, all the different businesses are happy and the car participants are happy. One of these days you might have to expand, but right now it's a good thing up there.
A little plug for Virginia City too is whether they're old timers that have been involved with Hot August Nights for a long time, or even the newcomers, the feedback we're getting that I hear a lot from people is that they like Virginia City because it reminds them of the way that Hot August Nights used to be when it was smaller.
Yeah.
And you got a great venue there, and Mike and the group have been very cautious about creating a good critical mass, but not overdoing it, so that it becomes problematic. But it's a great venue, and the people are welcoming with that, and it's obviously popular because they've had to cap it there too.
Let's take a break. We'll be back for our last segment of Old Tales Nevada, Past and Present, and we can get into the future, what the future is going to bring for Old Tales in Nevada, Past and Present, right after this.
For over 30 years, the Book Gallery has been serving its customers with a wide selection of books, comics, and DVDs. They specialize in Western Americana, sci-fi, romance, and general fiction. Be sure to ask about their trade policy. 30 years and going strong, the Book Gallery, 1203 North Rock Boulevard in Sparks.
A proud sponsor of Old Tales in Nevada, Past and Present.
Everything is handpicked here at Precision Diamonds. All jewelry is handpicked here at Precision Diamonds.
Come to Precision Diamonds. I'll fix your jewelry just like new.
Hello, California. Somewhere in Time in Reno is a huge store filled with trains and models, collectibles, art, antiques, and more, with pricing lower than anything you'll see in California. Come see it to believe it at Somewhere in Time in Reno.
It's back to school days at Carpenter's Music World. They are proud to support the Love of Music programs in Reno with Carpenter's Music Rental Program. Instruments can be rented starting as low as $25 a month, or rent-to-own programs are available. Instruments come with all accessories. Carpenter's Music World wants to spread the love of music to as many as possible. Questions? Visit or contact Carpenter's Music World today, 1090 Kitski Lane in Reno. Let's spread the love.
Come to Precision Diamonds. I'll fix your jewelry just like new.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go, all at Boutique Elegante. Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go, all at Boutique Elegante.
Well, finally, a new place to stay and play in the 67-room modern Victorian-style Silverland Inn and Suites in Virginia City. The Silverland gives you a chance to experience the rich history and beauty of Virginia City by day and night by offering a stay Sunday through Thursday in a standard room for just $79. Silverland Inn and Suites has it all. Heated pool, hot tub, great views. Book now by calling 847-4484. It's history at its best at the Silverland Inn and Suites in Virginia City.
Welcome back to our last segment of Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. It's been a great show so far. I love talking about these special events because I love talking about the history and then all of the work that goes into it to make it what it is today. And that certainly brings us pride here in Northern Nevada to have such a quality event that brings people from all over the world to Reno, Nevada, puts us on the map. You can't do any better than that, you know. So it's because of your hard work, you should be proud.
We are.
Yeah, and all your volunteers who have been around you for all of these years, they deserve a ton of credit because they don't get to see a lot of the stuff that's going on. They're doing security or they're doing parking or they're doing, you know, something that takes them away from the fun of the event at times. But they must have a love for the history of the automobile and want to see that whole program continue. You mentioned earlier that it's a challenge to bring in the younger folks.
Yeah.
Because they really, you know, like when I was a kid, my dad had a 57 Nomad station wagon Chevy, you know, and I wish he had never sold it because I'd be in Hot August Nights too. But a lot of the younger generation today don't have that connection with the, you know, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. I mean, that's my perception. Am I wrong on that?
Well, the family, you know, they may be associated with the cars and the music through the family, you know, and that happens, you know, pretty naturally. But, you know, in other cases where there are newcomers here, they may say, I don't have money to have a car like that, or, you know, how can I get involved? And that's a message that we've been trying to communicate, that there are ways that they can be involved with Hot August Nights through the volunteerism, through different committees and so forth. And, you know, that's an entry. That's how my wife and I got started, through committee work, just to volunteer to get familiar with it. The other piece of it that, you know, people have talked about is, and Mike has that challenge, is to provide music that those that from the 50s and 60s can relate to, but then you got the changing music as we're trying to appeal to the younger ones, where the performers of the old days maybe aren't around anymore. They don't perform anymore. We go more to tribute bands, but we're also trying to bridge some of that through the music, if they can get interested through that venue too.
Yeah, I would think music is one way to bring that age down, and then the other thing is the automobile itself, right?
Correct.
So I'm thinking, what's your cutoff nowadays?
1979.
1979.
This year it went to 1979.
Okay. So are there plans to keep moving that up? And are there cars of that? You know, I look at the 50s and 60s and 70 cars, they're like a piece of art. You know, they're so beautiful.
Right, but you look at them at that because that's what you saw when you were a child.
You're right.
So you got to think about the people that were in their teens, early 20s, in the 70s and the 80s, and what is their piece of art?
Yeah.
Might not be our piece of art.
So that's a good question. Do you do you know, interviews with the younger generation? Do you have sounding boards that say, hey, listen, you know, in 1982, this car was the car? You know?
You know, the sounding board is via phone calls and emails, which I get every event.
They make suggestions.
Well, they
too.
do. They always have
Yeah.
suggestions on cars. Now, there's another event down in Biloxi, Mississippi, and they went all the way up to 1989. Talked to the executive director. He goes, "Big mistake. I jumped too much, too fast.
Too fast, yeah.
Too fast." Good Guys Car Show, which is all over the country. They went from 1972 last year, or 2 years ago to last year, went to 1989. They jumped in a big. So there's a reason for that, because they were looking at that younger demographic.
Yeah.
You know, the people that are maybe in my age in high school in the late 70s.
Yeah. What's your
early
favorite
80s.
car? You're a younger guy. What was your
Well,
car back in your generation?
My favorite car is the one I have now, my '67 Camaro.
Oh, 67
But,
Camaro.
You know,
Okay.
my first car was a '69 Volkswagen Bug. So, you know, it's different. But
Yeah.
like the reason we went to '79, there's a couple of those cars. You know, I believe it's a '77 or '78 Trans Am that Burt Reynolds drove in Smokey
Okay.
and the Bandit. So there are those types of cars that they could relate to. Now, having said that, we went from '72 to '76. 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and you'd think we get thousands of cars extra, a couple hundred. It was very small.
Yeah.
Today, same thing from '76, from last year to '79, probably no more than
Not too
100 extra cars.
Yeah.
So it's just going to take
You
time.
have to be patient and kind of move along with the generation, I suppose.
Right.
You know, as one generation tends to fall off, you have to work the other side of it. It's kind of a balancing act to be careful with. But you know, you guys have been so successful. What's the economic impact on that event total?
So we had, when I first came into the job, you know, I heard a lot of numbers and I heard a lot of things from years past about how much money we made, or we made the community. And I wanted a little bit more research done, so we hired the University of Nevada, and they had a survey crew out at all of our venues throughout our event in 2016, and their numbers were amazing. The economic, what they were gauging, their numbers were only from people from out of town.
Oh.
So from new money coming into our region, it came out a little over 81 million.
Wow.
So that's just from people coming out of town. Now
Yeah.
keep in mind, about 30% of our car participants are from in town.
Right here, local.
And our emeritus directors, our board, we all go to hotels, they all have dinners. So
Sure.
I always estimate close to $100 million is our event.
That's amazing.
And I don't know that there's another one that could do that, or they've publicly said what that number
and
is.
like you mentioned off air, it's not just the casinos that are making an impact from that money. It's the gas stations, the restaurants, fast food, all that kind
And
of
even the other hotels, you know, the Holiday Inns and the Best Westerns and, you know, the Hilton Gardens. Every one of those guys or hotels are prime rates, and, you know, they benefit from
You know,
all
that's
that.
probably why you see the influx of so many hotels here in Reno in the last few years. I mean, you're part of that reason, I think. And like the big one right across the street from the airport they're putting in. Do you see the size of that thing?
Yeah, it's huge.
I mean, that has to be because of the special event activity here, plus the business that's happening over in TRI, I suppose. But all of that working together is just, you know, helping Reno to keep growing, and even the university probably benefits
absolutely.
by you know, enrollees, because people come to
get
Reno
to
and they
see the
it.
area, and no, there's no question. Like I was thinking, just the consumables alone that people need while they're here, aside from you know the lodging part of it. But absolutely, I mean that's one of the best. These special events we have, and there's all a litany of them that we start off with to go through actually August and the end of September. I mean, it's amazing what we do. They get a view of the Reno Sparks, the greater Reno Sparks area. They get a view of the university, and the university's growing by leaps and bounds, and that's all part of it with exposure.
Yeah, how many students are in the university now?
Well, with all of our enrollments here, we're pushing the best part of 20,000.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's really grown.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So the future for Hot August Nights, is it going to become so big that you're going to have to go outside of Reno? I mean, you're going to Virginia City. That totally makes sense. But there was a time when some people thought about moving it to.
Yeah.
I said, what did I say? San Diego. I was close. It was Long Beach,
Long
right?
Beach, yeah.
Let me correct that. But that experiment didn't work at all.
It's a homegrown event. It's a Hot August Nights is a Reno Sparks community event. You know, as far as getting bigger, I'm not necessarily saying we should get bigger. I think we continue to get better. Bigger is not always the best thing. Road conditions or road traffic in general is not good for our event when you have old classic cars, and some of them weren't set up for today's environment with the heat and the different gases we have for fuels we put in our cars. So I think we just look at just fine-tuning things, you
Sure.
know, and see what's the flavor, what is the feedback we get from the car participants.
Sure.
Our volunteers are very important to me.
Yeah. Now, where can a person go to find all of the events? It's like our town, they put out a pamphlet. It's about 32 pages long, but they're open for 30 days. Do you have a
We
similar?
have that same exact thing, but ours is handed out all of our information booths.
Okay.
They're little pocket schedules. We'll have them up in Virginia City.
Okay.
And they have everything in there. There's so much information in there. And I always say when people come to town, if you're a car participant, it's almost like Disneyland. You asked earlier, how do I decide to go to which place?
Yeah,
Atlantis or Peppermill?
There's so much.
You can
One
go where
day
you
you
want.
might decide to go there, and once you get a spot there, you might not want to leave.
Oh.
The next day you decide to go to the Grand Sierra because that entertainer that's coming on that night, is going to be busy.
Oh, okay.
You won't get that
So
spot.
you give them that freedom to move around.
Well, they go wherever they want.
Wherever they want.
They
Yeah.
go wherever they want.
And you mentioned earlier about, where do they decide to park their car
Yeah.
and so forth. That's strictly discretionary, and sometimes people find a good spot. They'll leave their car there and they'll find other transportation to get other venues. So
Yeah.
there's no assignment to that, even though they like to keep it close to where
Do you
they're
ever think
staying.
about going out into the neighborhoods like the balloon races, right? Which happens in September. They'll take a balloon and they'll put it out in Double Diamond somewhere, right? And I think Double Diamond even had fireworks this year on the 4th of July out there off the Monte or Steamboat, whatever the heck it was. But I think they had some kind of fireworks out there in a local neighborhood. Do you ever think about taking some of the cars and putting them in strategic neighborhoods just to build the awareness?
So yeah, we've talked about that. Let's talk about Summit Mall down south.
Oh, yeah.
Big parking lot.
Sure.
Takes people. Takes
Yeah.
volunteers.
Ah.
It takes a lot more than we have. We also pay a lot of nonprofits to help us manage our events, especially on cruise nights, to the extent for about $25,000. So you have to weigh that. Do we really need to go out to these locations? I have a lot of senior care homes that say, hey, could you bring a bunch of cars out in our
Yeah.
parking lot because they all want to do it. God, I'd love to do that. It takes staffing and,
Yeah.
and time
Yeah.
and
Well,
effort
let's
to
talk
do
about that. How do you become a docent or a volunteer? What does it take? Is it a paid docent? I mean, you have to pay to be a docent, but you get certain
So we call our
things.
volunteer members.
Members,
Because we're
okay.
a member of a club.
Okay.
And the fee is a $40 fee, but that pays for, you got to remember we buy them shirts. They got their placards. Their placards could get them into some of the events.
Okay.
Years ago when we didn't charge them, they were getting all their stuff, and it's the last we saw of them, and then getting in wherever they wanted to. So we do have
That's not bad.
we do have a registration process. It's all online, hotaugustnights.net, and they could go in there, they could fill out the form online, they could bring it in.
Okay.
But by June, July, it's almost kind of too late to get involved.
Yeah.
Because just like people thought before, what do you do the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Well, we're planning. We have meetings every month starting the first of the year
Year
with
round.
these groups
Yep.
Yeah.
to be able to start saying, okay, and we give them opportunities. What committee you want to work in, and they move around and they make those decisions.
So what website do you go to?
hotaugustnights.net.
.net.
And it's
Okay.
got all the information
All
on
that
there.
information
It's even got
there.
our schedule.
If they want to talk to somebody face to face on the phone,
Come to our office. We're at
offices.
1425 East Gregg Street.
Okay.
And we're always there, and volunteers are always there to help
and a
us.
phone number?
775-356-1956.
1956. Well,
They
listen.
can also register their cars too online. We
register
have that
cars.
registration as of the last 2 years.
Well, we want to thank both of you for taking time out because I know this is a crazy time for y'all coming up here in the next week or so. So thanks for bringing us the
Thank you.
information and bringing us the history and giving us an opportunity to have pride in this very fine special event. So thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for including us in your program.
Oh, no problem. And we especially like to thank our audience because they're with us every week, So we always thank them and invite them back next week for another episode of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. In the meantime, Mike and Dave and myself want you to have a great Nevada day. We'll see you next week on Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present.
Under blue Nevada sky,